Nicole, a lot of people recognize you obviously from your time in television, but also in TV home shopping. And that's where we're talking today is a little bit about how your journey into becoming live selling talent really started.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Number one, I always love being on TSC with you. It's such a pleasure, and it was learning for me. So again, thank you so much. I got into this in a bit of like a unique, unexpected way, to be completely honest, because similar to yourself, I come from a TV background world, and when that was kind of, you know, Nicole, we we are no longer having you on the show, and I was unexpected. Of course, in TV, we know the media landscape is very tough, and I was let go. And I kind of had a moment to recalibrate and think to myself, okay, like what is going to be next for me? Where do I want to go in my career? And a big part of me did not want to be a part of the corporate giant anymore. I didn't want someone else to determine my fate or my destiny anymore. I wanted to kind of be in charge of that. So I thought, like maybe I should explore freelancing and what that kind of looks like. And I mean, serendipitously, somebody who I had known in the industry who kind of did a lot of brand marketing had referred me to a Canadian outerwear brand that was looking for a brand representative on TSC. And they made the introduction to Arctic Expedition, who I represent on TSC currently. And it was like a match made in heaven. We kind of had a kickoff meeting. They wanted to get to know me, and we aligned in a lot of the same values and understanding. And they really enjoyed my like charisma, I would say. And then of course with my background in TV, they thought, okay, she can regurgitate and learn a product information. And even though that's fashion is not my background, that's something that I can do. And yes, there was a learning curve for sure. And but it really has been like such a beautiful, unexpected gift in my life. And I love being a part of this kind of world because again, it was very different for me.
What is your process in preparing for a show? And when I say that, for anyone listening right now, we're talking TV home shopping, but really for live stream shopping, it's essentially a form of content.
The biggest thing for me walking into this and every show is know your stuff, know your product, know what you're selling in and out. So much so that, it's like you don't really have to think about it. It just comes to be like a second nature of how you're explaining something. Always have a kickoff meeting with the brand reps before the show where we talk about new product. So they'll send it to me where I get to touch, look, feel, try on the product firsthand. And we kind of go through the new features, what has changed. So again, I'm prepping myself and knowing what is different this year? Like what makes this special? Why would someone want this? And then, I mean, from my own personal experience, then I'll wear it and I'll start pairing it with different things and what I like about it in particular from my own personal views. And I go through every product and I write down, say, 5 important features that in my head, at the top of my head, I know right off the bat that is attractive or makes it unique. And yeah, I'll write it down. I am a color coded kind of girl, so I will highlight, I will read it over and study it, and then I will say it out loud because I think there's also a difference in doing techniques like that to remember things. That always works for me. And then it's showtime.
I like the idea that you go through each product and you sort of identify 5 things that are important for a shopper. When I teach my HSH method of live selling, and certainly within my formula of successful live selling, there is that element of pointing out the key selling points or the differences, the points of difference, and most specifically, the benefit that is achieved through the many features. So in a product like Arctic Expedition, it could be in the way that something is manufactured or a proprietary technology that, to a person that's shopping may or may not really care about, but for the fact of how that impacts their personal experience. So ease of care, waterproof, whatever, temperature rated, whatever the scenario. With yourself, because did you have a background at all in sales? Like, was because the sales part of being on television is completely different. And so when we're communicating through the screen, Nicole, I'm curious, how did you develop the skill of being able to offer descriptions that would, in fact, allow a shopper to, I always call see the feel? to touch what they can't touch themselves, to taste what they can't taste, and to try on what they cannot do, but for how you describe it.
I can speak to things, no problem. I'm a chatty Cathy. The conversation is not a problem for me, but it was, how do you tell this story in a very underlying way? You're not repetitive. You find new ways to tell this story, and you appeal again to the masses. It's you're trying to be persuasive, right? In a very non-aggressive way where you're trying to make it entertaining. I learned from the pros. I asked as many questions as I could of, how do you say this differently? And I think watching and observing is something that I always like to do, because you can like pick little things from different people that you notice that, oh, I like the way that she said that, so I'm going to say that in my next. Because even though they're talking about a different product, for me, it's always a learning opportunity, because I find it so interesting how people find unique and engaging ways to kind of sell their product.
There, when I was learning to be a TSC host, and whether you're a guest or a host, what you're essentially doing is you're an on-camera salesperson, but again, in a non-hard sell way. It's
Right.
persuasive speak, it's descriptive language, it's sensory language, and it's storytelling in a way that allows people to feel immersed in that experience of shopping, and perhaps even being immersed into the process of trying on something. I mean, that's the idea of explaining how a fit happens. But I mean, I learned from watching as well. I remember watching Carrie Oliver, who is obviously one of the top tier hosts at TSC when I started, and I would watch her pitch. So for anyone watching, it's essentially how you're communicating the whole process, the pathway to purchase, and why you might be intrigued by this, the benefits versus the features, and all that kind of stuff. But I remember watching her before I would go to air with the same products, because to me, we can learn so much from watching others. I always suggest within my course to watch home shopping hosts. And I know, Nicole, you're younger than me, and I know there's probably people watching as they watch this emergence of live stream shopping, and their initial thought is, well, I don't necessarily want to do it like, home shopping. I mean, home shopping's been around 50 years, right? But the reality is they're the OG. I mean,
Oh
ultimately,
yeah.
they're the original influencers. Influencers didn't exist, frankly, in my opinion, before TV home shopping hosts, because it was that ability to convert a customer, to have someone part with their hard-earned money, but the trust involved. And so for you, Nicole, you're very ingrained in the community, and a lot of people have seen you, whether it's on TV or in commercials and TV home shopping, and of course in your community calendars in Toronto and all of that. How important is it for you to stay true to your authentic self, which I know sounds redundant, but to be able to communicate that and to have people trust you? How important is that to you when you are selling product with expected targets?
The person representing the brand on TV and live shopping are the OGs of the influencer world, because people are buying from them because they trust them. And going with that, I mean, I always am I consider myself anyway a pretty transparent person, where I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am who I am. I am like, and this can help me or hurt me. So far, it's helped me. Be unapologetically myself, always through and through. And through that transparency, I've been able to build trust with community members, with a following, with an audience, because they see that it's coming from my heart, and I'm sharing what's genuine, from me and my personal opinion, and that's how I think that has translated. And what I try to always like integrate into a live shopping stream, event or streams, whatever it is I'll always try and give a personal anecdote to something, or I'll share a personal experience or a personal relationship that I have, whether it's with a person, with a product, doesn't matter. But I think that's where you can start to build trust, because you're sharing what you yourself have experienced, and in that there's genuinity and sincerity in that, and that's what people I think gravitate to, and then appreciate, of course, because when they then have it or receive it, often they'll think of, oh, she was right about that, I totally can relate to that. So I try and always come from that part, and although it's sometimes hard in sharing things like that, because sometimes you open yourself up to criticism and sharing personal information, I think there's more of a benefit in that than a harm. And again, like my family and friends always help keep me grounded and remind me of that, of Nicole, that's why people like you. It's for you. You will have people that don't, and that's okay, but never stop sharing, who you are to your core.
if you sign up and opt into any of my free resources. I've got free videos and an ebook. I've also recently just shared with my subscribers 5 practices to amplifying authenticity. And so one of the things that you do, and you just explained, Nicole, is that you allow yourself to be vulnerable. Now, this is something that may come naturally to some people, but for others, it is a practice. And it's a practice in trust that you're going to be able to handle whatever anyone says to you, and it's an understanding that you are who you are. And so I've laid out 5, and this is just, again, something I just send for free, a practice, and it's somewhat of a journaling exercise, but there's reflective elements to it as well, on how you handle things and how you might be able to incorporate and amplify authenticity in different ways. Nicole, when I was working as a TV home shopping host, and one of the things that we were taught as well is that we can't possibly love everything. And the reality is, just because you like it, Nicole, that's not reason enough to buy. And I
Right.
think that's some of the mistakes we see from, and I don't want to just, paint all influencers the same way, but I think in the beginning of the world of influence, there was this idea of, if I say I like it, or if I hold up this glass, of course they're going to buy this glass. It's
Yeah.
not enough, is it? It's not enough just to say you like something.
No, people know too much now, right? And like you said, it's like they know that, I'm very different. Maybe like someone also can like someone and appreciate or trust someone's opinion, but they're nothing like them.
Be able to then paint the picture of who that product might be for, I think, is one of the great sales tools that people like you, Nicole, use, and other live selling talent, whether it is in the traditional TV home shopping space, or as we see this emerging of live stream shopping, is to understand that, hey, listen, this might not be for you because of X, 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 but maybe there's someone in your life who struggles with this, or maybe there's someone in your life who, you feel could really benefit from this. And that's how we start to, again, continue to build that sense of trust, is that we're not just trying to push out product.
This is something that I normally wouldn't wear, but my mom loves this piece because this is her lifestyle. This is why it works for her, so on and so forth. And it's about being creative to kind of find ways to again to sell that product or service in a way that doesn't also seem self-serving for you, because people see through that. And if you say that you love everything, or you love everything is great, then yeah, you lose credibility and it doesn't sound sincere, because we all know that that's impossible.
In my course, I talk about how to choose your niche, and sometimes the niche chooses you,
Mhm.
right? So in this case, the niche chose you. But I'm curious, if you were to pitch yourself to brands, to any brands out there, for just general live selling, ties into influencers, certainly content marketing, what would you say your preferred niches would be, or niches that you're drawn to? Because it is also about what you're passionate about. And you can learn to be passionate about brand when you're introduced to them, which is what's happened with Arctic Expeditions. Like, oh my gosh, I love this brand because you were introduced, which is, you were influenced by them. But if
Right.
you're putting it out there, what do you feel most passionate about? If you were to put out to the universe, here's a brand or a niche I'd like to present as a live stream talent.
This is like the hardest question, Dawn, honestly, because it's something I'm still discovering, if I could be completely transparent with you. If I were to answer that question right now, I say lifestyle. But lifestyle covers so many things. That's not a niche. That's like an overarching, category. But because I'm still trying to navigate where my niche actually is, because for me, lifestyle and who I feel represents who I am is wellness, is beauty, is fashion, entertainment. Um, those are kind of like the encompassing branches or pillars, so to speak, that kind of fall under that. But it's still been a process of discovery to say, like, pick one and go with it. But then at the same time, and this is me asking you this question back, is at the same time, why do I have to pigeonhole myself? Why can't I be lifestyle and cover all these things? Like, am I wrong? You tell me.
No, you are totally right. And so where I want to go with this is, when you're just getting started, it is nice to have a niche, like a specific area, because it allows you to really hone those skills, and with something that you feel super comfortable with. But again, when I speak with my students, and I did a webinar a while ago talking about picking a niche, and it can be, you can have sort of this category of lifestyle, especially if that is how your followers and fans, your engaged community, knows you. And I think a lot of people do know you as that. And so if I were consulting with you, and this is anyone that's listening, this is like a little consultation, you could sit there and approach or be approached by, let's say, a mall. Okay. And be the representative of that mall, which, by the way, the mall has all those different categories. And maybe it is a sort of like a live stream magazine style storyline where it's like all the things that you can get at this mall that fit within Nicole's lifestyle. And then again, using your live selling skills to be able to, much like you would do when, same as when I was a live eye on breakfast television. I mean, you have these themes, right? The
Right.
top item that you need to reimagine every piece of wardrobe in your closet. Okay, that's one topic, right? Then you could sit there and have how to do neutral makeup, but then in 2 minutes go to your cocktail party. Oh,
Mhm.
and then how to take this outfit and add one item and turn it into whatever date night. So it's really, ultimately, we're talking about content, and then we're talking about what are the brands that can support that content. And so
Right.
it can be a one theme, or it could be a lifestyle theme just like that. And now, of course, and you would know this with things like affiliate links and
Mhm.
affiliate marketing programs, it's never been easier to even independently dip a toe into that before some of those bigger brand partnerships come in.
And that's the biggest test too, in what I have, how I even came up with this lifestyle over these pillars for myself is, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna post it, or I'm gonna create this content and see how it does. And numbers don't lie. Like when you see that something is working more so than it's not, then okay, more people care about this. I can still be passionate about this and explain this in a different way, but these are the things that my audience really feels gravitated towards me for.
We don't always all knock it out of the park, and there are many other factors that come into play with a successful shopping event.
Of course.
Right? So I'm curious, how do you handle, because for someone watching right now, it could be that maybe they're not getting as much engagement on the live chat, right? No one's asking any questions. Oh my gosh, they're not voting on my poll. Ah. Or in the case of shopping, sometimes they don't buy for whatever reason. And so this isn't about the platform or anything. How do you, as talent, navigate the heart, because I've had it to me. How do you navigate the heartbreak of you gave it all and
Yeah.
then it just some reason didn't hit? How do you navigate that for yourself?
I think the biggest lesson that I try and teach myself and remind myself of constantly is take it, let it go, and let's move forward. It's like, don't hold on to that or let it kind of destroy your confidence in trying again. Let it be a learning lesson of like, okay, this didn't work out. Let me try something different next time and see how that works. Because I mean, you hear from all of the greats across any industry. No one nails it the first time. It's very far and few between. So let that be again with education, knowledge is power. You just get better and I really do believe in that in learning. Let it be a learning lesson instead of taking it to heart as let it be, a moment to recalibrate, try something new and be inspired maybe by somebody else and do it your way. There's you should just never take that as defeat or fail because with failure comes a learning opportunity always and that makes you better.
For anyone that wants to get in touch with you, Nicole, let us know your social media handles and any websites, and I'd love to make sure everyone knows how to get in touch with you.
Thank you so much. It's on Instagram, probably is the best. It's at Nicole Servinis. And I also have a website, NicoleServinis.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, and here's to seeing you on set sometime soon.
Cheers. Absolutely. Thank you so much.